All right, good afternoon. Our inaugural Monday press conference. And so we'll be on Mondays from here on out. We'll go right at 1. I'll kind of come from the practice field here, so everybody that watches this, forgive me if I'm not dressed to the nines. So, but appreciate y'all being here as always. Scrimmaged under the lights on Saturday. We had Big 12 officials. Coach Neal was here, which is always neat. Appreciate him being here, and had a group of guys here that he was able to sit with. I didn't get to visit with them because we had a lot going on, so I apologize on that. But it was good to see him. We worked every special teams phase. We went live on special teams. We went approximately, I think, around 40. I think we went 46 snaps with the ones and just a few under that with the twos, and then our threes got 20 snaps. So everybody that's on the roster played on Saturday night. I'll start with special teams. I'll kind of talk about each phase. Special teams, I thought our specials had a really good day. Pleased with where they're at. Danny King and Michael Hayes both are really good. Got a real battle there for our kickoff job, and both are more than capable in field goals too. Mike's probably a little ahead, but both of them are really, really capable. So I feel good about that. We punted the ball well. You know, Leighton Bechtel's probably had as good a camp as any of those specialists. So he's really came on, and so happy to see that. We continue to, this week, special teams wise, we'll continue to work some stuff. We're going to go Wednesday night again under the lights and get a lot of special teams work on versus kind of our next best team. So we'll continue to do that leading into game week. Defensively, we started slow. Not pleased about that, but I thought we picked it up. Had success in our 2-minute situational work that we did defensively. We created 3 takeaways, which is something that's been a real emphasis for us. I thought these guys kind of had good days. Tried to make some notes for you guys. So Lance Dixon, he had a sack, had 2 TFLs. He's a guy that we need to take a step. He's got a ton of potential, and it's time for that to come through. Hershey McLaurin had his best day of fall camp. He had 7 tackles, had an interception. He would have ran back for a touchdown. And then I thought at corner, Beanie Bishop and Malachi had really nice days. Trey Lathan and Tyreek Austin Cave were around the ball bunch, and then Hammond Russell, he had a TFL, he had a sack. And then Corey McIntyre, true freshman, I haven't mentioned to you all. Yeah, he made some plays. And he's got talent, and I think he'll be able to help us at some point this year. Aubrey and Sean Martin and Lee were really limited. They all went, but they were really limited. And that was by us, not by them. Offensively, got off to a really fast start, had several explosives, reduced penalties, which has been a point of emphasis too. Turnovers were not good. It's one of those where you're the head coach. You're like, yeah, we had some takeaways. Pretty excited about that. On the offensive end, you're like, we had turnovers, right? So I don't know if you win in those situations, but we got to hold on to the ball better. I thought these guys had good days. Traylon Ray has really had a nice week. He's come on and made some plays downfield, and he's a guy that we're excited about. Preston Fox missed a few days earlier in the week, came back on Saturday, was really productive. And then Cole Taylor had some nice plays during our 2-minute, catching the ball over the middle, so that was good. CJ got some live carries, and I think he's in a good spot. Jaheim White continued to have a good camp, and so he'll play this year. O-line, we rotated guys. Just didn't play our top 5 or 6. We tried to rotate in and out, just trying to mix up some lineups because that's what happens with your offensive line. And I thought they, communication-wise, were really on point. Offensively, we really Devin Carter and Cortez Bram. They both, if it was a game they could have played, we just lot of miles on Cortez this week. He practiced really hard and was productive. And then Devin, we just held for precautionary. So, and then this week, kind of what the plan is we got a mock week. And so everything from doing the press conference on Monday to how we practice on Monday, the only thing that we're doing off a normal schedule is Wednesday evening. And so we've got an athletic staff meeting on Wednesday morning, plus just really felt like we need to get under the lights one more time. And so we're going to do some teamwork under the lights in the stadium on Wednesday night, and the rest of the week do a mock game on Saturday, and then Work a little bit of Penn State this week, but more kind of getting ready for the season in totality, and then full throttle on Sunday with Penn State. So with that, I'll take questions.
So with all that, getting through 3 full weeks, is the two deep gone from pencil to pen in many places, or where are you in terms of getting that set?
No, I've got a really good idea, and I say but we've got a really good idea who we're going to play and who will start the game at pretty much every position. There's a couple battles that are still going. Will linebacker that's going to carry on. Who's going to be the 5-0 lineman, and who's going to be in the group that's going to play. The two deep for receiver is going to continue to go through this week. But there's a couple battles just to see, hey, they're going to be in the rotation, they're not going to be in the rotation, and that's why we're going to, that's one position we want to see. That's why we're going to do some teamwork on Wednesday night, and then on Saturday after the mock game. Trying to go through here as far as just position battles going on. Those are the main ones as far as needing to see more. Y'all want to know about the quarterback. I know who we're going to play. I know who's going to start. I don't know if we'll share that or not. But yeah, that's been decided.
When you travel, are the places on the bus, are they all full, or you still got opportunities for guys to get on that travel roster?
Yeah, Wednesday and Saturday we'll continue to get some work, especially with those guys. We can carry more people on this trip because it's a non-conference game, so we'll take advantage of that rule. We'll try to take as many as we got room for at the hotels. And so we'll do that. But, no, some of those special teams jobs are still up for grabs.
Neal, have you shared it with quarterbacks as to which one of those you're going to play?
They know. We just haven't done anything real formal with it, but I think they have a good understanding. And here's the thing. We got two really good quarterbacks. Feel good about both of them. One of them's a little bit further ahead, and that's kind of where it is. I don't know if it really helps us to share a whole lot. It'd be different, but I think the team offensively especially has got a good feel for it.
Progress of those guys through the fall you've seen?
Yeah, really going back to January, I think that it's been a progression, and really I think just as quarterbacks, I think I think there's been a progression leadership-wise. There's been a progression from them feeling comfortable in their own skin, and I think that happens with maturity. There's been a progression of fundamentally being able to take the drills that we do year-round and being able to apply those in some pressure situations. They've worked really hard on knowledge of what we're doing offensively. So, like I said, I'm comfortable. We got to continue to get better. This isn't like, you don't 2 weeks before your first game say, oh, okay, this is it. This is who we are for the rest of the year. There's got to be a continued growth. But I'm pleased with where they're at.
Did you know this before or after the scrimmage?
I think it going into the scrimmage.
Because you mentioned the turnover aspect, that's why I asked if that changed your mind or anything.
No, it kind of verified kind of what had been happening throughout camp, Mike. It's and just one, it's both guys have gotten better, but one of them's performed at a higher level, and we're going to continue to push them. We're going to continue. We can play both of them in the game. I mean, I feel comfortable with both of them. It's just it's been clear who's ahead at this point.
Was it at all, in terms of your expectations going into the competition? I know that it was a fair competition, but how did it play out in terms of your expectations? Were you surprised by anything? Or?
No. I mean, I don't know. Like, I didn't really have for the competition. You go into this kind of, and it was 9 months. You kind of go into it open-minded, and you got the parameters that you're going to hold it and how you're going to do the reps and everything. We stayed pretty consistent through Saturday with that, and I don't know if surprised. I think it's been something that's.
Just because you had more film and more.
Yeah. You got there's a big data base. You think about 15 spring practices. You think about winter workouts, spring practice, through the summer OTAs, into fall camp. There's a lot of data points. And so this is who rolls out there first in the game. It's been decided over a lot of data points. So surprise wouldn't be the word that I would use, but I'm comfortable with how it's went.
line and their rotation.
Mm-hmm.
7, 8, where?
Yeah, 7. I think 7's where it's at right now. You know, I think the 6 that played last year and Nick Malone has really moved up. You know, and I wouldn't necessarily, not going 1 through 7 with them, but those are the 7. The 6 played last year, and he would be the 7th. And I think there's competition continuing for that other group.
Do you truly rotate the
No, I just
6th
think
and 7th, or how do you?
so. I think we get 7 ready to play, and I think there are 7 that are ready to play. A lot of it has to do with how many snaps you're playing and what's the temperature, you know, and like because if it is like it is today, where it's really, really humid, you know, you're probably going to say, okay, we need to get a couple guys, we need to steal a couple series early in the game so they can play late, and so a lot of it's going to be weather determined. But I feel we got 7 guys that can play, and 7 guys that we could start, and we have a good opportunity to be successful up front.
What did the quarterbacks in the line?
Yeah, fire away.
You said like you just know when it feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Was there one?
Well, what I said, Mike, is like.
You said this in the past.
Yeah.
Right
Like
now.
what I said is like it's usually pretty clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it usually happens. You know what I mean? Like they usually one kind of separates. Yes.
Apologies for that. But
No, you're fine.
I'm glad you clarified. But was there, of all the data and the things you examined, because you tracked darn near everything, was there one distinguished thing that separated consistently that made you say this is?
So decision making.
Okay.
Yeah, decision making in over a long term, and decision making in overall accuracy. I think that's kind of where it's at. And again, this isn't a negative on either one of them. I feel really comfortable with both of them, and we haven't really got into our Penn State game plan, but you know, definitely could play both.
And then Sean scrimmages, I think that's probably the most he's done, like in a real formative setting. Where is he at as far as being?
Work in progress. Yeah, he's a work in progress. Here's what Sean is. So you got to understand kind of where he came from. He came from really good. Sean Martin. I thought you were talking about Sean Boyle.
No.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Sean Boyle. I'll talk about Sean Boyle, and then I'll talk about Sean Martin. So
Sure, go ahead.
Sean Boyle's coming from a traditional under center offense, and he a great high school program, and so the learning curve's steep for him right now. And now he can really run. Like Sean is legit fast, and he's strong, and we gotta get him fundamentally a little more sound so he can be consistently accurate more. Sean Martin, he's been practicing at a limited. When y'all been out there, he's been in a green jersey. So we got levels. Like we got red, which means nothing. Like he really can't do much of anything. We've got green, which means they can basically practice. We're just trying to limit contact. And so he's been in a green the whole time. That's coming off tomorrow, and so he'll be ready to go in 2 weeks. He played a lot of ball.
And then turnovers, mistakes, they're all bad, but are there worse situations? Red zone, 2 minute.
Yeah. So the ones that really, you know, it's an internal fight, right? So you really want to get more takeaways defensively, but as the guy leading is calling the plays offensively, like when you have a turnover, you're like, that's as bad as you. That's as negative a play as you can have. And so one of them was we tried to force it when just sort of scrambled and gotten down. And that was kind of in the fringe area where we would have had a chance to make a field goal if we just tucked the ball and got to the line of scrimmage. And so that was frustrating. One of them was really created. It was from the backside. And then one of them, the running backs put it down. You know, it was a younger guy.
What does Nick Malone do to jump up into that?
He's just gotten stronger. He's been athletic. You know, if you watched him in high school, he was a guy that was kind of thin in high school. When I say thin, 270. You know, he's 6'5", so like he was thinner in high school. Really athletic. Played basketball and was really athletic. So it's been a kind of a 3+ year process getting him to 305, and he's played some. You know, he started on our field goal team. I think he played in almost every game last year on offense at some different spots. And then he's worked on the punt team as well. And so he just consistently, he's gained weight and gotten stronger. And so that's what's given him an opportunity. And the other thing too is he's had patience. Like he's kind of been self-aware early in his career and what he needed to do to get better. And now he's getting some of the fruits of that.
How do you feel about your receivers, number-wise at least?
We got plenty of bodies. I think body-wise, we got plenty of those guys. That's been kind of a fun deal. And let me say this: I think Bilal's doing a really good job. He's the guys, we've caught the ball better. They've been disciplined. They got to go out and we got to be productive on Saturdays. That's the thing. Devin's been productive at other places. We got a couple guys been productive in junior college, but he's really the only one that's been highly productive at the Power 5 level. So we got to go out and do it. But I'm comfortable with where the room's at. I think we're big and physical outside. We got some change-up guys that can really run, and then our slot receivers have caught the ball well, and we've blocked well on the perimeter. So I'm comfortable where that group's at, but we got to go do it on Saturdays.
Do you anticipate both Rodney and Traylon Ray playing
I do.
Penn State?
Yeah, they'll both play. Yep.
Is there a guy or guys it's surprising, or a name that keeps popping up when you talk amongst the coaches you could think of that's really come up and jumped out at you?
I think Justin Johnson has, I'll talk offense and I'll go to defense. Justin Johnson has been consistent, and he's kind of been through whatever we've had, 15 practices now, just really consistent over the whole time. Got every rep. He's been there every day. And, from the whole standpoint, pass protection, blocking in the run game, catching the ball out of the backfield, all those things, he's been the most consistent in that room. And so he's a guy that I think steps out. Jarrell Williams has been a surprise. Jarrell Williams has had a nice camp. He missed a couple days, but he's had a nice camp. And going into kind of his redshirt freshman year, he's made a big jump. Defensively, Day Hawkins is much improved. Fatorma has been I think he's been a pleasant surprise. He really came in shape, which sometimes those guys that sit a semester don't. So that's been a positive. Tomey's coming on. I thought he'd probably be a little further away, but I think he's getting closer to being ready than maybe I anticipated. Going off the top of my head a little bit here, John. So I think those would be the main guys.
How different from last year's team that you put on the field, last year's offense that you put on the field, to this year's? Will it be a noticeably different type of offense, type of move?
I wouldn't be doing. I'd be helping Penn State if I told you that, Bob. No, I'd be helping them. I'd be helping Penn State. We're gonna look exactly the same. Exactly the same. Same plays that we ran versus Oklahoma State. Tell James that's the same exact plays we're gonna run.
You mentioned Rodney Gallagher and Traylon Ray, and they both obviously getting a lot of praise, a lot of hype, and they're both going to play against Penn State. Is there one that maybe is a little further along than the other, or are there differences in terms of which one maybe fans will see more?
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably too early to tell you. If you ask me next Monday, I might have a better answer. Freshmen go like this, man. It's highs and lows, right? And so we haven't started putting our game plan in. And so a lot of it will determine what fits versus Penn State. Like I have in my head kind of loosely, going back from just watching them a bunch in May and a little bit over the last week. But until we put it up on the board and say, okay, this is exactly what we're going to do, and these are the best personnel pieces to do that. And so if you ask me next week, I'll have a better idea. I know they're going to play. How many snaps, I'm not sure. But they're both going to play. And I think you'll see as long as they can handle the load. And what I mean by that, as long as they can handle – this is a long season, and our schedule is more intense than most. And so as long as they can handle the load from a physical and a mental standpoint and emotionally, then I think their playing time will continue to increase as we go.
In terms of physicality and their building their body, are they where you want them to be right now?
Well, I mean, Rodney's got to get stronger. He knows that. And so does Traylon. And they're going to look drastically different a year from now because neither one of those guys are early grads. Traylon didn't even play baseball till the end of June. So he's only been here in July. So I'm really pleased with it from a conditioning standpoint. And the thing, and I think this just speaks to their overall athleticism. A lot of times when you practice in camp and they wear their GPS units, what you see some reduction in speeds. So we look at 90% efforts a lot, and what you see is some young guys, especially guys that aren't as strong as some of the older guys. What you see is their 90% efforts go down, not because they're loafing, just because they physically just can't run rep after rep as fast as possible. And so with those guys, it hasn't shown, which I think speaks to some of their just raw ability, raw athleticism. But I think to be determined on how much, but they will play.
Other true freshman who plays said Jaheim White.
Jaheim White will play.
Hurt. To be determined.
Yeah, probably wasn't prepared for that question. I'm just looking kind of at some of my notes. Hurd definitely has a chance. There's a couple more. I might be more prepared for that next week. So I think there'll be a couple more. There's going to be more on special teams for sure. I don't have all those depth charts just memorized in my head yet, though.
You mentioned, Will still on goal. Have you pared that down some, or is it still pretty much wide open?
Yeah, I think we got to be ready to play multiple linebackers. I think it's going to be a little bit of a feeling out process too. I think we're getting as many as 8 ready to play. I'm not saying we'll play that many, but we're getting as many as 8 ready to play. And I think that's going to be an ongoing deal. I don't think you're just going to see a starter and he plays every rep.
Neal, so Virginia Tech and Pitt were more modern rivalries.
Mhm.
Have you gone back and talked to, Coach Neal or anybody about what the Penn State series was like?
I don't know if that's healthy for us to look at the
Look at the records.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna dig too deep into that one. Now I am gonna. Coach has some fond memories we'll bring up, but though win-loss deal is not too favorite for the Mountaineers in this one.
You said you worked a lot of special teams. Is there any people who specifically flashed on special teams for you in the scrimmage?
Yeah, I think that from a special team standpoint, is some guys that they're going to be major factors for us. Defensively, Jai Favaris has really grown and kind of accepted that role. He's been really eager. Torres Simmons is a guy that's going to be a special teams factor for us. Caden Beiser, and then Beanie Bishop has come in here and Marcus Floyd. Marcus Floyd is grown into a real somebody that we really trust special teams wise. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Hudson Clement has had a really good camp on special teams. Jarrell Williams is done that, and then Justin Johnson. So those are some guys that I think that have been real steady throughout camp and all our special team stuff.
You mentioned this before, and I'm just curious as a coach how you sort this out in your mind. When you watch a scrimmage and your offense is going up and down the field or whatnot, is my defense bad? Or if the defense is stopping the offense, is my offense bad? How do you sort all that out?
Well, the good thing is you can control it to some point. If you want to go into it and you want your defense to have a good day, you can kind of force that to happen. If you want your offense to have a good day, you can force that to happen a little bit. Now, guys still got to make plays, but you can put them in really prime opportunities on both sides. When you go into it, like Saturday, we just went in, and it wasn't like it wasn't one side was just way ahead or anything. But we've really approached these two scrimmages as just, hey, let's just go play ball and let's see, not necessarily schematically. I'm not worried about it. It's just like who stands out on Saturdays. Yeah, that's what we did the last 2 Saturdays. And so, but that's one of the hard things. That's why you all have heard me talk a couple times about, hey, having joint practices, or because you really don't know. You really don't know, because when you go against, it's not that you practice against each other for 25 times in fall camp. You practice 15 times in spring. They go out there and throw all the time during the winter and during the summer, and they run the same concepts and they run the same coverages. And then you go OTAs where you don't really go to each other, but you can sit there and hear each other making calls, and then you go into fall camp. So sometimes you don't get a realistic picture because, for instance, O-line versus D-line. Well, the O-line may know what the movements are. Or there may be a giveaway because they go against them every time. Defensively, they may know a code or something the quarterback says so they can cheat the system a little bit. You know, so I don't – it's frustrating from a college standpoint because you sit there and watch the preseason games and you're like, man, I wish we had a couple of those. You know, because the NFL's they're figuring it out and they're getting used to the speed. And, you know, those games are so, you know, we're talking about true freshmen. You know, what if a true freshman had a preseason scrimmage or at least a closed workout where they could, oh, yeah, this is what this looks like. Okay. But we don't, so kind of go with it.
I know you pumped in like crowd noise and that during the recent practice we're at. Did that occur at the scrimmage as well?
Yeah, we're going to get it really loud starting on Tuesday or Wednesday. Not Tuesday, Wednesday this week. And that'll carry through all through next week. Yeah, we gotta get ready for that. It's going to be loud.
Some of the work receiver was just trying to find spots for guys inside, outside. I don't know that you'll answer this, but I'll ask. But like,
Right.
have you sorted out who's an X, who's an H, who's an inside,
So-
who's an outside?
Yeah, I hope to do that kind of midweek. We've got a good plan. You know, there's certain guys like Devin and Cortez, like those guys are going to play outside. Preston has the ability to play both. Jarrell Williams has the ability to play both. Aaron has the ability to play both. And so Rod's going to be an inside guy as a true freshman. Traylon Ray's going to play outside as a true freshman. Hudson's got the ability to move around. And so there's some guys with some flexibility. Guys that are new to the system are just a certain body type. We're going to keep them in just one spot.
Coach, this time last week you were talking about this past week was going to be the most important week of fall camp, and it was going to be the roughest week of fall camp. Was there any position group that looks better on the other side of that, and how did that meet or miss or overpower your expectations?
Yeah, our D-line. I think D-line is, as we increase their workload, they got better, you know, and I think it's helpful because they're going against a really good offensive line every single day, and so they either get better or it's going to be long afternoon or long mornings for them, and so they've gotten better and they've approached each day with a growth mindset, and I'm appreciative of how they push themselves, how they're handling themselves. But I think if you talk about one position group who changed the most over the course of last week, it'd be that group.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right.